Welcome back to the studio. My name is Jaku, that's Demaya.
Hi, hello.
I have a customer that came to me and said, listen, I have a bunch of old bangles, 21 karat gold, can you believe it, 22 karat gold, and some other bits and pieces. We're going to melt all this together. I'm going to lower the carat to 750, which is 18 karat, and we're going to create the signet ring for the customer's son. Let me show you how I made this signet ring out of some old bangles, giving it some new love. Kind of like a step-by-step process, I imagine.
I guess you could call this a tutorial video.
Stick with us till the end and I'll show you how we breathed life back into this old gold. I had to take these bangles and cut them up into smaller pieces. I used a Leatherman. That's a simple thing that I have on the desk. I don't know if other people use Leathermans. So I melted it down from 22 karat and 21 karat to 750. Because I didn't buy this gold and I want the carat to be above 18 karat, I was a little bit generous and I kept it above 750 or above 18 karat, just to make sure that when we send this off to assay, which is something that you have to do in the UK, that it comes back as an 18 karat gold ring. I know that on this size, which is going to be a size L, it needs to be, it's pretty small, but at the same time I know that I've got about a 13mm cushion cut, the cushion shape at the top, so obviously I need to be slightly wider, or very successfully on 13 or just over 13, and I need a 4mm so that I can roll it down to at least a very minimal 3.5, and I'll explain why.
If you stay tuned.
Stay tuned and I'll explain exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Okay, if you abandon the video at this point, you're not going to know that information, guys. Okay, stay with us.
This piece of material that I've cast here was just shy of 49.9 grams, I believe it was, or 50 grams. That's more than enough to work with. I'm wide enough. Now it's a process of elimination. I need to respect what I want to keep at the center and eliminate the rest. First things I'm going to do is I'm going to make some measurements to make sure that I've got my block in the center, and I'm also going to have a look at how this is going to taper down towards the bottom. I don't want anything less than 3.5 or 3mm on the shank. I know that I'm going to take this down for the size that it is, up to about 1.5, 1.6mm thickness, and the top I want to keep as thick as possible. The reason for that is when you bend it down, it's going to bend, and I need to extract a flat surface that's going to give me the 13mm from one point to the other. That's why it's 4mm. So I want to keep the center part as thick as I possibly can, but the band itself needs to taper down. I go into the rolling mill, press it in, bring it out, and I can actually see that there's a little line where I've marked it, and I run it slowly up to that mark, bring it back. If I'm not quite there, run it right up to the mark, back again, turn it around, do the same. And once you've done this a few times, going slowly down, you'll find that will create a natural stop for that area. Then you can just let it roll. But remember, we're not going to be relying on that particular taper that we've created with the rolling mill. We're going to shape it with a hammer.
Don't panic.
I drew on top of it by taking my divider from side to side. One thing to mention, you've got a thick part over here and a thin part over here, and you need to determine the length of something like that. I'm going to find an average between those 2 points, plus that with the diameter, times it by pi, and then you have the length that you need. It's something that you're going to be hitting and going to be shaping and distorting. You need to go slightly smaller, a few sizes smaller. Not just one size, but quite a few sizes down, because you're going to beat this thing and it's going to size itself up to size L. I typically take a bit of super glue and coat it so that the pencil drawing doesn't come off. However, this time I thought, hang on, since we're in this time of exploration and new ideas, cloudy sellotape pressed flat on top of it actually worked wonderful. You said
Goldsmith's workshop secrets.
Tip. I went through the process of cutting the shape, and regarding that middle section I left the 13mm, but it was kind of silly because I should have done the final drawing on it and then done one cut, where I've done 2 cuts. So that's a mistake on my side, but that's fine. We'll show you the mistakes as well. Once I've done this, I had a basic idea. Now remember, we're going to be hammering this, we're going to bend and filing this, so we're working essentially with excess metal. We're just eliminating parts that we don't need. So we don't need the perfect shape, but we do need to respect what we need to keep at the end. Once we've done this, we start bending it. Got to get it round. You got the two parts of the ring coming together. It typically does that. I need to get those 2 points together. So I get them to touch at the bottom, and now bring a saw blade through, bring it, saw blade through, bring it together, saw blade through, until it becomes tight. Once it's tight, of course, we're going to work with the hardest solder. I'm working with 18 karat yellow gold, so the choice will be 18 karat yellow gold hard solder. I know I want a flat top at the top. It can't be rounded, it needs to be flat. So that's the point where I start. Flatten it up as much as you possibly can from the top. And then once you've created a flat enough area, you can start from the edges on the sides here. And you can actually hammer your rounding into the side to create the shape that you're looking for. It's so much fun because
you can see by the hammer marks where the impact is.
Yes.
Keep checking the thickness on the side. And then you do it equally on each side, and then you're able to then not have to remove so much metal.
To create the shape that you want with a hammer without even getting close to the filing is incredibly
rewarding.
It's a lot of fun.
Also, it's quite intimate because it's like a bit like what we were saying in the last video, not the last video, the gold carving, the 3D carving 3D shapes. You get closer to the personality of the metal. You start understanding what the appropriate amount of pressure is.
That's exactly it. A lot of knowledge coming from the back of the camera. You're fighting it, it's fighting you back. You see exactly what's happening in front of you because you're actually shaping it. You can get it to a point where you almost have the exact shape that you need, and then the filing becomes minimal, which means minimal losses. And you're hardening up the ring as you're going along, because now you're sitting with a very compressed material as you're hammering it.
It's used to it's used to life. It's used to the hard knocks of life. So it's going to be more resilient in a day-to-day basis.
It's not going to fall apart for no reason. If you've ever made a signet ring or a ring in this kind of shape, tag us on Instagram. By using the hammer, you can get the basic shape, and then we start with the filing. And this is where the symmetry comes in. Train your eyes. You're going to look at something, and you're going to start seeing something that's slightly out to the one side and the other side. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be, because you've just attacked the thing with a hammer. So take your file and make sure that you can get some symmetry into it. Take it off, balance it, look at it from side to side, look at it from this side. This is the time that we get to shape and manipulate this ring. This is actually where most of the work goes in. And to be honest with you, this is, like I say, this process, once it becomes a ring, from the hammering right through to this section over here, it's a timeless area. You don't really realize how much time you're putting into it. You sort of go into a dream world. It's wonderful. It's done. I've got this ring shape. Now this is where we're going to stop the video. I'm sending it off to London so that they can put a little stamp on the inside. Assay offices, we'll probably do a whole video on that one day. Thank you very much for watching the video till the end. Demaya and myself, we really appreciate the comments and the views that we are
we really
getting.
do. That's me, Demaya.